Hello, I'm Steve Maskery and welcome to my kitchen in the workshop. It's Easter and that means it's time for hot cross buns. Now all the big celebrity chefs have got their version. They're all similar, they're all slightly different. And what I have here is a hybrid. There's a bit of Paul Hollywood, a bit of Mary Berry, a bit of Nigella Lawson. I've taken the best bits from all of them. So let's talk about the fruit. Traditionally, you would use currants and sultanas, and half my batch is going to have a mixture of currants and sultanas, and they're going to be soaking in cold tea. The other half is going to be a mixture of cherries and dried apricots. Now, the dried apricots in particular will need cutting up. The cherries will probably only need halving, but the apricots are far too big. So we'll just cut them, make them a bit smaller. And if you cut them into, say, 6, 11.24, 11.85, that'll do. And they're going to soak in lemon juice. Right, let's have a bit of a clear up. Now, let's talk about the flour. You must use strong bread flour. You won't get the right results with plain flour or self-raising flour. And it will say strong on it. It's called strong in the UK, it might be called something else where you live, but it's the kind of flour that you use for making bread rather than cakes or pastries. So I've got my flour in here, and into the flour goes some cinnamon and some mixed spice. Now Nigella puts some cardamom into hers, and I like Nigella's buns, so I'm going to have a bit of cardamom in mine as well. And cardamom makes really good ice cream as well, so that's a little hint perhaps for another time. So that goes in there with the flour, and we need to keep the salt and the yeast away from each other. I don't know how it interacts, but all the big names say don't let them touch each other until you're actually mixing. So we're going to put the yeast in last and the salt goes in at the bottom of the pan. The first thing to go in is some butter. And it needs to be soft, so if it's a bit firm like that, just warm it up a bit. Then it's in with the milk, a beaten egg, some salt, what else? The sugar goes in. And I've forgotten something. Here we are. Vitamin C powder. And you only need a tiny, tiny amount. Just that much. And then all the flour goes in. And the flour keeps everything separate, or at least the salt and the yeast. So then the yeast goes in, and I want about a teaspoonful. And then we're ready for the mixer. And this is what we should end up with. A nice, smooth, elastic and very slightly sticky dough. So I'm just going to roll that out. Need a bit of flour. This doesn't have to be strong flour. This is just to adjust the worktop with. Right, and that should roll to a very nice ball. Look at that, soft and elastic, beautiful, just what we want. So then we want a clean oiled bowl. So take a bowl and just a little bit of oil in there, and then spread it round a bit so that the dough doesn't stick to this bowl like it's just stuck to that one. And that goes in there and gets covered with a cloth. And you can either leave it to rise at room temperature, you can put it somewhere a bit warm, like the airing cupboard, or we can speed things up with a homemade version of the Chorleywood process. Well, the dough goes in there like that, and then a lid with some air clearance goes on like that, and then we seal the bag. Let's have a look. Oh, well, that's quite nice. Yeah, that's risen. Jolly good. So I've drained my fruit. We want them to be plumptious, but we don't want them to be wet. So that can go all over there like that, nice and evenly. This is just half my dough. The other half has got the apricots and cherries in. That's rather nice, Steve. Good. And then you just press it in, just as if you were making a focaccia. I'm also going to add a tablespoon or so of candied peel. That goes in there like that, give it a bit of citrusy, and then we just roll it up, and this way the fruit gets evenly distributed, but it doesn't get bashed about like it does if you add it to the mixer. So that all goes like that, and then it just gets kneaded to get rid of any air, and that looks wonderful. So this half batch is going to give me 6 hot cross buns. So that'll be 3, and this will be 3. Now, to roll them up, you simply cup your hand over to make a sort of cage and roll them around until they become spherical, like that. And it's a good idea, I can tell for a start that one's a bit small and that one's a bit big. It's a good idea to make sure that they're all the same size so they bake evenly. So we'll just have a check. Yep. Oh, perfect. Yep. And then they go for their second proving.
Maybe I should have covered them with a stronger box.
And that's after the second rising. Very nice. So here I've got a mixture, a piping mixture. It's quite stiff because you don't want it too runny. If it's too stiff, add water, half a teaspoon at a time. But that goes into my sealant gun. So this just goes in there like that. It's a bit sticky, but that's what we want. If there's still a bit of bathroom sealants in it or whatever, don't worry about it. It just makes it stick to the buns a bit better. And we just pipe the crosses. And they are now ready for the oven. They look ready to me. Now, do they look good or do they look good? I'm going to put a glaze on them, and you can put all kinds of things on for a glaze. If it's sweet and sticky, you can glaze with it. So, for example, you could just use a simple sugar syrup. You could use maple syrup. Paul Hollywood uses apricot jam. You can sieve that and paint it on, and it makes a really nice glaze. I am going to do a Mary, and she uses golden syrup. So, let's open the tin. And it needs thinning down a little bit, so we're just going to warm it up, and I don't want to burn my fingers. So, skip me. Ooh, look at that. And then we just sort of spread it about a bit. Oh, I want one. I want to eat one now. Now, I don't want to see anybody using some manky old paintbrush out of the workshop. That would be plain wrong. We have standards, you know. They might be low, but we've still got them. And those are now finished. Let's see what they look like inside. Now, they might look good on the outside, but what are they like on the inside? Let's find out. Oh, nice. That's one of my cherry ones. Now, I don't want anybody whinging at me. Oh, I can't make hot cross buns. I don't have a recip saw. If you haven't got a recip saw, then improvise. Use your bandsaw. But if you use a bandsaw, make sure that you use a Workshop Essentials approved regulation hot cross bun push stick. And I think I'm going to have half of it plain with butter. So let's see what it's like this. Bit sticky. And the other one, the other half, I think I'm going to toast that. Even better, even better. So if you fancy having a go at baking this Easter, why not try this recipe? You'll be very glad that you did. It's absolutely delicious. And thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and share. Until the next time, enjoy your kitchen. Cheerio.